Well, hello everyone. This is Rachel Carl, and welcome to the 9th session of the 6-week Reclaim Your Life, How to Get Off and Stay Off Illegal and Legal Drugs and Alcohol teleclass series. Tonight is going to be on understanding the root cause of your condition in order to develop a strategy for sustainable recovery. Now, it's just imperative that you do this, or you can't develop a cure if you don't have evidence of what's causing your symptoms. So that's what we're going to cover tonight in Module 9. And also, I want to remind you that you will have a chance to get your questions answered on this call. If you're listening live from your computer, you'll see the little box on the left-hand side of your screen that says, Submit your question for the event here. So go ahead and submit your questions there right now or as you think of them during the call, and we will try to get to all of them by the end of each call. If you're listening to the CDs at home, or if we run out of time and are not able to get to your question, then you can go ahead and email us your questions at any time at findpeace@shangri-la-biospa.com. And again, we've got a lot to cover tonight, and most of you know who our guest of honor is, but I'll briefly tell you about her. She's a Human Rights Award winner, a nutritional biochemist, and licensed healthcare practitioner. She's an author of 4 books and the medical director of the Biosanctuary Addiction Recovery and Green Mental Health Care Center. Our guest for this series is author and humanitarian Ms. Genita M. Welcome, Genita.
Thank you, Rachel. Thank you. And thank you, everybody, for joining me this evening. We're getting some really good spring weather, so I'm sure it was a bit of an effort, especially if you're on the West Coast. It was a bit of an effort to join us this evening, but I see we have a great turnout, and I'm just going to get started here. This evening's lecture is key. I'm big on education, because there's a point where the teachings, the lessons, the education ends, and you need to take care of yourself, on the fly. You need, throughout the day, your work, you need to know, you need to have a knowledge base of how to make the right decisions for yourself. Maybe something that wasn't covered, what little may not be, but there's little nuances throughout the day. Can I have this? Can I not do that? What should I do about this? And really, the way you migrate through your life sustainably, for sustainable recovery, is having a good education, a good knowledge base on what it is, what the root cause of your condition is, so that you know how to make the right decisions for yourself that may not have possibly been answered in this teleseries or in books or by your doctor, okay? And so I always like giving a little background because, see, addiction is neurochemical adaptation. It doesn't matter if it's heroin, it doesn't matter if it's alcohol, it doesn't matter if it's Ritalin, it doesn't matter if it's cocaine. It is neurochemical adaptation. The body and brain make certain changes in order to accommodate the drug, the toxin that's coming in. For instance, I'll give you a real quickie here. You would die from just 2 beers. You would die from 2 beers if your body did not stimulate GABA. If your body did not stimulate glutamate to stimulate the sympathetic nervous system, because alcohol does is it releases a lot, it overexpresses GABA, which is inhibitory. It calms you down, right? So what the body does to maintain homeostasis, balance, to keep you breathing, to keep your heart going, what it does is it releases glutamate in order to stimulate the sympathetic nervous system to try and keep you in balance, okay? So you don't just stop breathing and fall asleep to death, all right? So that's neurochemical adaptation. It's actually the survival mechanism. The survival mechanism is all about adaptation, and that is accommodated in the human body by the neuroendocrine system. So we're talking about addiction and what it truly is, because it really, you read all these books and this and that. Everybody has their own. It's like the word love. Everybody has their own idea or what it is. So I'm going to tell you in scientific terms, which are easily understood in layman's terms and can be translated to good decisions in your life, to ensure long-term sustainable recovery. I'm going to show you, I'm going to demonstrate to you exactly what addiction is as neurochemical adaptation so that you understand the why you shouldn't have a cup of coffee every day, or, well, you can't have any for months and months and months while you're in a healing event from psych, drugs, heroin. It doesn't matter. But once you can go back into a life of healthy moderation, yeah, you can have a cup of coffee, have a dessert, but like even coffee, never every day. Things like, especially when you're in a recovery state, okay? Anyway, real quick, this is the Green Body and Mind, Green Mental Health and Addiction Recovery series, Staying Sane in a Toxic World. This entire medical model is a green mental health medical model. Everything I'm teaching you falls under green mental health. And I'm going to actually, and addiction recovery, which is green mental health. And I'm going to go into that a bit more this evening and discuss in greater detail green mental health care. This medical model, this medicine is aligned with nature and supported by science, okay? Again, you want your medicine supported by science. This is your body, So, very, very important. More important than buying a car, more important than any of those things. This is your health. You want your medicine based, drenched in science, evidence-based therapies and science. So in this evening's lecture is Understanding Addiction, Neurochemical Adaptation, which is exactly what it truly is. So this evening, first, because I want everybody, I'm big on definitions, because when I use a word, I want everybody to know exactly what I'm talking about, not what another person's talking about in another book or how they're using the word, because it's very important that you understand the terminology so that when I do use a certain word, especially one that you haven't probably heard a lot, because I actually, to describe conditions that I find, in the process of addiction, such as addictive biochemistry, you haven't heard of them before. So, I like going through definitions so that you do understand exactly what I'm going through. And then once I've there's just three definitions, biggies that I want you to understand. Then the topics, what you're going to be brought through this evening, the education that you're going to be brought through, and the understanding that you're going to be brought through this evening, is a good understanding of the neuroendocrine system. It's important to get familiar with this beautiful, elegant system of checks and balances that keeps us alive every day, and when we're healthy, definitely in a state of peace and feeling comfortable inside our own skin, and joy, enthusiasm, and all that good stuff. The pharmacist within, that is the neuroendocrine system. All forms of addiction, the home of addiction, can be found in the neuroendocrine system and can be cured by reestablishing a healthy neuroendocrine system. And this includes your thyroid, your pituitary, your hypothalamus, the sexual organs, mammaries, gonads, ovaries, adrenal, all those are the endocrine glands, and pancreas actually, and they are key. You're working together and creating balance with their environment, internal and external. They are your pharmacists within. What is neurochemical adaptation? So therefore, what is addiction? I'm going to answer that question for you this evening. What is orthomolecular neurochemical rehabilitation? Very important, because that's what I practice, and that's what we use, and that is definitely the answer to neurochemical adaptation and creating a healthy environment, both internally and externally, for you, the organism, to heal and reestablish balance and harmony with your environment, both chemically, emotionally, psychologically, physically, all of it. And then how to stop self-medicating with food, drugs, and alcohol, all of it, all of it. It should, everyone, there's no difference between a woman, except a legal issue, between, the housewife with Prozac in her medicine cabinet and the crackhead down the street. There's no difference. They are all reaching out for relief, to find relief, because their own bodies cannot produce that relief neurochemically the way we are designed. The neuroendocrine system is broken. It burns out. It gets damaged from toxicity and oxidative stress. There's a lot of reasons why it breaks. It's a global system in our body, so a lot of things can be the cause of it breaking. But it's in the healing of that we don't need to use food, drugs, alcohol, sex, anything. That's all those any kind of addiction is to placate, is to feed or relieve some kind of craving that's produced by a deficient neuroendocrine system. So we'll go forward here. Definitions. I'm going to give you definitions this evening for homeostasis, which is a very scientific word for health. That health is truly homeostasis. That is balance. When you, the organism, are comfortable in your environment, you're peaceful, you feel safe, you are nourished, your body is in growth mode, basically. It's not struggling to stay alive. It's not in fight or flight. You're healthy, you feel totally in harmony and balanced with your environment in your life. And those are your internal thoughts as well. That is homeostasis. That is balance. And that is the scientific term for health. Addictive biochemistry, that's a term that I had to create to describe the condition that precludes actual addiction. There is a condition before a person becomes addicted. There is a thing called addictive biochemistry, and that is a symptomatic person, a person symptomatic emotionally, mentally, with anxiety, across the board. All of these symptoms, all of them, fear, low self-esteem, they all create addictive biochemistry, which is when the body can no longer establish homeostasis. We produce all those neurochemicals, all those hormones and neurotransmitters that help, provide you peace and joy, and all we call them the feel-goods. When the body and when the neuroendocrine system cannot do that anymore, addictive biochemistry rears its ugly head, and then you start reaching out externally for things, and it just depends on the person what it is that they find in the condition that relieves their craving, their aching, their pain, emotional, physical, or psychological. And then, of course, I'm going to give you another heads up, another reestablish or reiterate what is green mental health care, because it's very important that you know and completely understand that before I finish the series, so I'm just going to refresh you. So this is homeostasis, when your inhibitory and excitatory system. See, you have a parasympathetic nervous system and sympathetic nervous system. Parasympathetic nervous system is a type of energy that's produced where you feel peaceful, that long-lasting, just peaceful, totally imbalanced energy. It's just it goes on throughout the day. You don't have highs and lows. It isn't like a buzzy kind of energy. That's the sympathetic nervous system, like when you have a quick cup of coffee and you get that, but that is sympathetic nervous system type energy, and that is not the good stuff. That stuff was only meant to be running from tigers and things like that. So when the inhibitory and excitatory neurotransmitters are balanced, such as GABA being inhibitory and your glutamate being excitatory, when those are balanced, and there's others that play, inhibitory, such as there's GABA is the most abundant. Serotonin, your beta endorphins, your morphine within can be inhibitory. And what happens is, and by the way, there's no good and bad. It's not that the parasympathetic nervous system is good and the sympathetic nervous system is bad because it makes you feel overstimulated. No, these two systems need to be in balance. Okay, there's not one that's good and then one that's bad, although because, the lion's share by far today are excitatory issues because we are overstimulated as a species now. Our food is chemically driven with excitotoxins, neurotoxins, all this bad stuff that's overstimulating us, like MSG, aspartame. Our lives, our work environment, our lives, everything's just too fast-paced. We get more mail in a day than people got 150 years ago in a lifetime. And so, that's why the excitatory is given such a bad jacket these days, and the inhibitories are called the feel goods, because that is your GABA and your serotonin and the beta endorphins, all the things that people are tanking on today. And I'll explain that in just a minute. So inhibitory versus excitatory, when those are balanced in the body, that is homeostasis. Homeostasis. You're naturally sufficiently self-medicated. You have enough of the feel-goods to balance out the excitatory. which is, is there to keep you alive as well. So when the PNS and the SNS nervous systems are balanced, the individual experiences peace, serenity, long-lasting calm, energy throughout the day, joy, enthusiasm, optimism, purposefulness, inspiration, and is not easily stressed out. You see, you're calm. A bomb could be going off in your backyard, and when you're in some of the states that my patients get, and really, unless you think it's gonna, it just, you have a very large pad of stress before something stresses you out. Okay, and this is a good place to be. And see, this is when you know that your body is in growth mode. Okay, this is a biochemical. It's an actual symptom of biochemical balance. When you are in growth mode psychologically, okay, chemically it's when the cells have all the nutrients they need to repair and replicate and build new tissues and thrive. And you experience this biochemical condition psychologically as being in growth mode yourself. You're visionary, you're thinking about your future, you're inspired, you feel enthusiastic, you're making plans, you're making plans for vacation, you're making plans to expand your business, you're making plans, to start a new project. That's growth, that's the psychological effect of growth mode biochemically. Now, when the inhibitory, and I use this graph, the second graph here, because this is the common condition that people are experiencing today, is the inhibitory versus the excitatory, where there's way too much overexpression of the excitatory, the sympathetic nervous system. People are in a stress syndrome today. The lion's share of adults in the U.S. today are in some form of a stress syndrome. And this is an excitatory, they're overstimulated, and it's chronic, So here's what happens, whenever this starts in your life, and I test 5-year-olds positive for adrenal fatigue, sadly, these days. But whenever this starts out in your life, so, you come on the planet, hopefully, with balance, and you have hopefully, a pretty decent childhood, and, you're calm, no worries, And then I don't know, you get out of college, you start work, whatever happens, you start, you find out that you're in a stressful relationship, whenever it happens. When it's fine if it's just, for a day or two. That's how our system was built, so that when the tiger's chasing us, the excitatory goes high, and the blood it leaves the visceral organs, it goes directly into the muscles, and so that you can run, okay? And it's great, that system is a very elegant system, and it gets us, it's survival. It gets us out of danger, hopefully. It's the best system we have to get us out of danger, and it's part of the survival mechanism. But what happens and what's happening to us today is that it just doesn't stop. The tiger doesn't stop chasing us. We go from, a difficult meeting at work to you sit down at your desk, you're overwhelmed with too much work to do. You got things going on with the kids. You got, it's just too much. We have too much typically on our plate today, and a lot to be concerned about. We have, everyone's a little concerned, I think, about it to some capacity about the planet we're living on. Things are really, sliding downhill. And it's got to depress people, to some degree, even people that try not to pay attention much. It's just we're not living in the world that we lived in even 60, 70 years ago. And, all these things accumulate, and it's overexcited. It overexpresses our sympathetic nervous system. It's go, 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 go. And then, of course, the diet, that does the same. MSG overstimulates, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. When it happens over time, when this is chronic, is that, you start out with this balance up at the top, and then over time, the inhibitory starts tanking. You're not getting the nutrients you need to make that GABA, serotonin, the feel-goods, the beta-endorphins. You're not getting the nutrition you need to create those neurotransmitters and hormones, and like a cortisol, and your adrenals start tanking, and then, your inhibitory starts sliding down. It can't keep up with that excitatory anymore. You're in a chronic state. Your tanking is burning out. Your inhibitory system is burning out. And once it can no longer mediate the symptoms of that excitatory system being overdriven, that is when you become symptomatic. Some people become symptomatic. 7 because of a traumatic event that they never are able to, put behind them. It does, everyone's different. But once you get to one state, one chronic state of stress, and you don't get out of it, it gets worse and worse and worse through the years. And people ask me, and this is interesting. People ask me all the time, they say to me, like when I tell them they have to stop from drinking coffee, and they're 50 years old, they've been drinking it 35 years, and they're not sleeping well at night, and they have anxiety, and they're drinking a lot. And I tell them they have to stop drinking coffee, and they're like, well, I drink coffee for, this is the comment I get. I drink coffee for 35 years, no problem. Well, guess what? It is a problem now. And just right there in that statement, you just answered why it is a problem. Because when you drink 1, 2, 3, 4 cups of coffee a day, for any length of time, it's going to burn your adrenals out. It's going to burn you out. You're overstimulated. It's not good for you, okay? So anyway, once you are symptomatic, now you are in what we call a healing crisis, and you need to seek out a healing event. You need to stop it all and allow your body to reestablish homeostasis on its own again. And so that it's, once again, build up the inhibitory system and get the rest you need, get the sun you need, get the good food that you need, stop all the things that are hurting your neuroendocrine system, and allow your body some time to heal. So anyway, here the imbalanced brain chemistry is symptomatic, and today the lion's share of those are symptomatic because due to an overexpressed excitatory nervous system. The PNS and CNS is imbalanced. The person progressively experiences anxiety, depression, excitability, ADD, mood swings, compulsivity. Perception of stress is exaggerated because you don't have a pad between you and, the other 10,000 things going on. One little thing happens, a pencil breaks, and boom, you're off to the bar, heading for your next hangover. The people are just way overreactive today. Everybody's sitting, well, not everybody, but most people are just sitting on the fence these days. Just the one little thing just boom pushes them over, and they just can't climb back over. And they feel overwhelmed, prompting irrational, aggressive, abrasive, and hostile behavior. The desire for alcohol, mind-altering drugs, anything. It just depends on the person and what they're short on. Whatever fixes it, but they'll find it and it works, and they'll just continue to go at it and at it and at it until they're addicted. All right. Moving on. So this is addictive biochemistry. This graph right back here demonstrates addictive biochemistry because your neuroendocrine system, your glands that produce the hormones, your nervous system to produce the communication of, produce the serotonin, GABA, and beta endorphins. Typically, these are it. And there's also, dopamine and your catecholamines. But anyway, this imbalance right here is addictive biochemistry. And the reason why I call it addictive biochemistry is because this is the stage where your body is giving out. It can't provide the feel goods for you naturally. So just as sure as the rainfall, this is natural, as the grass grows. You are going to be prompted through your survival system, the need for homeostasis. You are going to be prompted to reach out for whatever relieves your pain. So whether it's emotional, psychological, or physical, doesn't matter. Your body has a system just as surely as it is designed to keep you at 98.6. It is designed to not want pain. Okay, it's not designed for pain. Your point zero, your ground zero, let's call it, your baseline is to be pain free. So any kind of pain is registered as you needing help. Those are alarms. The brain is sending out alarms to the body for help to get back into homeostasis. And if the body can't do it, you will reach out for it. This is why, by the way, so many programs that treat the symptoms are not effective for long-term recovery. They just aren't. If a person leaves a facility and they are symptomatic, they are still expressing addictive biochemistry, and it's only a matter of time before they break and find something or even their old friend, to relapse, to mediate the pain. It's just we're not designed to withstand pain like that. So, addictive biochemistry, an intro to your survival system, adaptation. And by the way, this is a very elegant system. If we didn't have the ability to adapt, such as your body does to these drugs, it's just, adaptation in the wrong direction. You want to adapt to a good, balanced, natural, organic, healthy environment, not a toxic environment. However, when you put the body in a toxic environment, it will do everything it can to survive in that environment, which means it will make changes to try and survive. Of course, those changes are going to burn it out and cause some kind of disease down the road, but it will for a while, and depending upon who you are, your lifestyle and all that, it will for a while try its best to survive in that environment by making changes, and that is where we get addiction. Once those changes are made, you are addicted. So due to the experiential and environmental toxic conditions, the body may become incapable of self-medicating or responding to its environment while keeping you comfortable in your own skin. See, our natural state is abundance and health. That's why the body, when you cut yourself, you have a wound there, your body naturally heals the wound. Our natural state is health and abundance. That's where the body expects to be all the time. That's why we have this thing called homeostasis, and it's all about balancing our organism, our bodies, our minds, in keeping in harmony with our environment. Okay. The subconscious, when you can no longer internally self-medicate, that pharmacist within the neuroendocrine system is broken, it's deficient now. The subconscious will literally instruct you to seek homeostasis externally. That's what addiction is, okay? Nothing more, nothing less, all right? This is what you are up against. You need to make all the changes in your life, all of them. It's not just about going to a detox, and detoxing and getting the drug out of you. You fall back into the same routine, in the same toxic environment, the same diet, and the same everything that got you where you were in the first place. You're just going to fall right back into the old routine, because as soon as you become symptomatic again, you are going to reach out for relief. It is as natural as the internal pharmacist, if it can't do it, like I said, it's as natural as the grass grows. You can't fight it. AA can't fight it. Nobody, no system can fight it. If you don't find the root cause and cure whatever is nagging you, whatever is causing overstimuli, emotional distress, anything, if you don't get that fixed and get your environment to be healthy so that you are comfortable in it, it's just not the long term. It's not going to work. Okay, it's an illusion. You're just biding time. Okay, it is the cause of the disease that creates addictive biochemistry and then addiction. So see, it is the cause of the disease. That's why you have to look at it. Is it your job that's overstimulating? Is it this toxic, diet that you have that's overstimulating, just simply not giving you the nutrients that you need to make these neurochemicals yourself and overstimulating you? You have to find the cause of the disease. Alcohol is not the cause of alcoholism, okay? You have to find the cause of why you reach out for it, why it's a medicine for you, all right? And that's what you want your doctor to do. You're either your doctor or when you come to us, our doctors, that's what our doctors do. You go into full diagnostics. We don't, while you're healing and we give you that perfect, beautiful, non-toxic, organic, healing environment and all those, treatments and such, you are undergoing serious, diagnostics with our medical team to uncover the root cause so we can get you on a program that we know is going to heal it. And then that's how you win the game. You get rid of the symptoms. You are in the driver's seat. You no longer express addictive biochemistry. You can choose very peacefully, very happily choose not to use psych drugs, not to use alcohol, not to use any of it. So anyway, back to and then addiction. Neurochemical adaptation is a very elegant survival mechanism that cells use to survive in any given environment. It's just, using a good thing to adapt to a bad thing. But the thing that adapts, that's a good thing, that you have this system. You are not your enemy here. It's just being used for the wrong for the wrong purpose. It was used, to adapt to a toxic. You have to remove the toxic lifestyle, the toxic diet, all those things that are damaging your neuroendocrine system, okay? So we'll go to the next slide. Okay, and here's, some causes, and we've gone through some of this, but I do want to reiterate, just to keep it fresh in your mind and take a look at your life, see, and address each and every one of these and make sure you clean it up, fix everything, make a healthy environment for yourself to live in, okay? Denatured food and water equals malnutrition. That, malnutrition psychosis is a real thing, and a lot of people are suffering it today. Full bellies, but empty, absolutely, well, not empty much, but you know what I mean, the full bellies, empty calories, you're not thinking straight, you are, fear, paranoia, anxiety, all these things, not being able to think clearly, not being, a loss of clarity, loss of vision, all these things are, can be attributed to malnutrition psychosis. If you're eating, your belly can be full, but if you're not getting nutrients, that can cause and does cause malnutrition psychosis. Commercial growing techniques and genetically modified organisms and pesticides, we've gone through that in detail. Those are taking away from homeostasis. Adding toxic chemicals to our food, toxic drugs, wrongfully called medicine. Our mental health care is now toxic, okay? The mental health care, in conventional mental health care, is toxic, all right? There's nothing good about a pill that masks your symptoms. That's toxic. Allergies, grains, and dairy, allergies cause symptoms that people self-medicate. Environmental pollution, body burden syndrome. This is actually another term because this is new. We're now science and clinical trials and all kinds of people like the Environmental Workers Group with a lot of different very, very highly esteemed organizations and medical and academic and scientific bodies, organizations are beginning to report more and more and more how the toxic environment, the chemicals in our environment, such as bisphenol A and phthalates and many aspirin, all of them are producing ill mental health, mental health symptoms. And so now, we do a lot of work in identifying, the most damaging, the most aggressively damaging that are really causing, the bigger culprits that are causing mental health issues, and testing for them now and clearing people of them as part of their treatment for long-term sustainable recovery, because there is a thing called bioaccumulation, and it's happening to all of us. And, people are just starting to drop left and right with symptoms due to body burden, multiple chemical sensitivities, but now I call that body burden syndrome because it is not just one, but a number of toxic chemicals that are accumulating in people that are throwing off their endocrine system, throwing off their nervous system, and affecting their mental health, very much so. So, and heavy metal toxicity, gone through that. Excess sugar consumption, we all know this, and excess caffeine, of course. But you'd be surprised how many people drink 5 cups of coffee a day, and say, Genita, but I was fine all these years. I was able to sleep fine. Bioaccumulation, okay, you can't sleep now. Get off the coffee. Stress and trauma, body and mind capable of maintaining homeostasis with an ever-changing environment. Too much stimulus. And that's stress, and then, of course, trauma. The mind does, if you had a very traumatic event in your life that is still weighing heavy on you, and if you see, you are the one that would know better than anybody else that it's still affecting your life, your ability to live a full life. Then that's what you are damaging your body with your mind, replaying it, or the fear or the discomfort or whatever it is, the uneasiness, the emotional trauma, the pain, whatever it is. If you are still in it, if you're still going through it in your mind, it is affecting your body as if you were still there. It does work that way. Your brain does not have eyes. You have eyes that serve more your consciousness, but your brain, the center of your brain, cerebellum, the process of the fear and of danger, and the amygdala, they don't have eyes. All they are is overstimulated, okay? And if you've gone through a traumatic event, you have PTSD, those regions are going to be overstimulated, and it's going to burn out your neuroendocrine system, and that's how you keep yourself in the cycle of depression or anxiety, whatever it may be, paranoia. And that's with those people, of course, counseling is stepped up a bunch. Some people don't need counseling much at all. The people who have gone through traumatic events, we really got to work with them because their mind is working against them, and we have to help in that capacity a lot more for those people. So all this equals body and mind are overstimulated, malnourished, and toxic. This here is the world I live in, the relationship of the endocrine organs. And actually the neuroendocrine system up here, this is your neuroendocrine system, and up here on the upper left is the hypothalamus. This guy is headquarters. This is headquarters for the human body. What the hypothalamus does is, and this is where the nervous system and the endocrine system intersect. This is the intersection of the nervous system and the endocrine system. And remember, I told you we are chemical energy beings, and right here, boom, this is your alchemist right there, the hypothalamus. And so what happens is the hypothalamus sits about the center of the brain toward the bottom, and it reads all the external stimuli, temperature, sounds, vision, everything, touch. I mean, actually, I don't know how they come up with this, but the last time I read that, they had established that the hypothalamus actually processes up to 6,000, an average of 6,000 bits of information a second. That's how phenomenally just elegant the system is. I mean, it's just, the human body is just amazing. Every time I think about it, I'm in awe. I'm 51 years old, been doing this, studying this for 30-some-odd years, 33 years, and I'm still in awe. So anyway, the hypothalamus, it processes all this information, the external and internal information. You got stomach ache, it processes that information. You got a cut on your leg, and it processes that information. It processes your environmental information, and it feeds all this to the pituitary for one specific purpose, and that is to stimulate all the neurotransmitters and hormones, the neurochemicals that your body needs to survive in the environment that you're in. Okay, this is very, very important because that you understand this, because this is where it all happens. Okay, this is like the doctor. The hypothalamus is like the doctor that writes prescription, and the pituitary is the pharmacist that pulls together all of the puts out the request for all the different constituents of a specific drug and puts it all together, and then boom, you feel good. Okay, but these are the natural ones. And by the way, your body, when it's working the way it's supposed to, there's a feedback system, so you can never get too much of something. When you take a pill, there's no feedback system, so you can have too much of it, and then of course your body has to try, which it depending upon how synthetic it is, it can put a really big load in. Sometimes the body doesn't know how. But it will try and accommodate that, and that's where addiction happens, actually, because when it's synthetic, the body will try and maintain homeostasis, but because there's no feedback system and it can't, break it down quick enough and this and that, the body will actually make changes to accommodate that toxic drug because it can't break it down fast enough, okay? There's too much of it, and the body's like, whoa, but it's not responding because it's synthetic, so the body just simply makes, accommodations for it. And it does the same for natural products as well, such as alcohol. Your body makes about an ounce of alcohol a day. A healthy person, sedentary people who eat a lot of carbs, simple carbs, they make a bit more. But it does the same thing. For too much, it's called toxic. Too high levels of alcohol, then it will make more and more glutamate to keep you alive. So it makes changes, and also down-regulates your own GABA production. So it slows down GABA production. This is why we go, people go into withdrawal for a few days. So anyway, then the pituitary talks to the rest of everybody else, the thyroid, the adrenals, gonads, everybody else, and everybody, as you can see the lines here, everybody talks to everybody else. All the organs talk to everybody else. They manage each other. It is a very sophisticated accountant of chemical checks and balances to keep you in balance, to keep maintain homeostasis in your body throughout the day and night, sleeping and awake. So, addiction, neurochemical adaptation. When this guy right here isn't working well, okay, such as when the adrenals over here, when the adrenals go bad and you go into adrenal fatigue, this means that you're not producing enough cortisol, which is your stress buffer, right? So you're going to become hyperreactive, et cetera, and you are overstimulated now because cortisol does feed the parasympathetic nervous system. It helps stimulate serotonin, the amygdala. There's all these beautiful things to keep you nice and calm and peaceful and pad stimuli of your environment. But if you're not making enough cortisol, then there's no pad there, and all that stimulus is just too much. The slightest amount of stimuli can overwhelm you because you're just over expressing excitatory neurotransmitter. You're just way too stimulated to begin with, and then boom, the straw and the camel's back. So when this system is not working well, that's where we get addictive biochemistry. And then what happens is you start using a drug, whatever it is that suits you, whether it's legal or illegal, and then you start neurochemical adaptation, addiction. You start the process of addiction, okay? The brain chemistry adapts to drugs, alcohol in an attempt to maintain homeostasis. This causes the brain chemistry to discontinue producing key neurotransmitters and hormones, and the toxic nature of the substance creates oxidative stress, which damages delicate organs of the neuroendocrine system, which further disables the brain's ability to maintain healthy functions that produce good mental health. Okay, so you have the body adapting to it, and then at the same time, this toxic chemical is also causing oxidative stress, damaging the body even more. So you're going to be more symptomatic every day. As every day goes by, you're going to be more and more and more symptomatic. This is why, these people on psych drugs, many of them, well, there's never too late, but, down the road, a year, 2, 3 years, 4 or 10 years after there's so much damage, they finally get it, that it isn't working. They've been changing their drugs, because of, you meet a tolerance, so then they change the drug, and then you got some hope that this one's going to work, and then you just keep doing it and doing it and doing it until, people finally come to the realization that, whoa, this isn't working. Because you just get more and more symptomatic because the toxic nature of the drug is breaking the neuroendocrine system even more every day. So the body's resources, vitamins, minerals, EFAs, enzymes, are depleted to the point that they can no longer provide the neurochemicals required for healthy brain chemistry, and this literally instructs the person to seek relief externally. Okay, I've gone through that. So neurochemical adaptation occurs with drugs, pushed and prescribed, alcohol, sugar, environmental toxicities, toxic food additives, aspartame, et cetera, neurotoxic chemicals and personal hygiene, cleaning agents, rugs, clothes, dry cleaning, et cetera, stress and excess stimuli. We all know adrenaline junkies, right? We all know this. But, I'll just show you a really simple and very benign instance of neurochemical adaptation. When people buy a new car. You know the deal. You buy a new car, and whoa, man, you're excited. This is so cool. Look at my new car. And within about 2 weeks, that excitement's kind of wearing off. And then a month or 3 months down the road, the car's still new, but you're simply not as excited anymore. That is neurochemical adaptation to your car, your beautiful car. Anyway, so other causes of mental distress, traumatic, psychological, as I said, traumatic, psychological, emotional, or physical injury. The neuroendocrine system must also be brought back to life as a result of the damage these assaults inflict in infectious disease. Now, I want to explain here quickly that it's so important. In fact, the counselors I work with are just in awe. They love watching how people with PTSD and traumatic events in their life, and this was the core reason for them going into drugs, illegal, whatnot, and so they're going through their healing event, and the counselors that I work with, of course, because they've never worked with a Biosanctuary or even at Shangri-La, but they haven't worked in an environment like this where the body, is being so well taken care of and healing, and that the pharmacist within is coming back to life and beginning to provide, all the feel goods, and then the person has follow through and they can focus and they can really engage more in their counseling and really make a lot more progress, because when you're in pain, any kind of pain, you will naturally, because you can't think about the future. It's like you're in too much pain. It's like, oh man, I can't think about that house I want to build, or that cruise I want to take, or I can't think. You can't put a future together. You can't get enthusiastic. You can't get in productivity mode. It's just really hard to think about the future when you're in pain in the present. Okay. So it's really easy then, because you can't think about the future, or very little. It's just too much effort. How can I do that? I'm in all this pain. I don't want to do that. And you lose interest. It's very easy to go into the past and start living in the past and stay in that place where that traumatic event happened. So this is where dealing with the biophysical, the body and getting the body healed really helps. Because when you start feeling more comfortable inside your own skin, when you start feeling good again, you just wake up with a good night's sleep and you feel good. You know what? Those past events, they're still there, and you're going through counseling, but they don't bother you as much. You're not as bothered. You're not thinking about it throughout the day, and you're not just going over it and living in the past. No, because now you're starting to feel good, and wow, now you want to start thinking about the future, all those things you wanted to do and didn't feel like doing it. It's an entirely different experience when you're healing totally. This is called a holistic model. You're healing physically, you're healing psychologically, you're healing emotionally, and you're being you're more open and receptive to your spirituality and following through with it. A lot of people are spiritual. A lot of people say today, I'm not religious, but I'm spiritual. Well, you know what? People just don't put the time. Religion is really helpful. Religion is going to the bathroom every day, but I mean religion with your spirituality is, whenever you do something every day religiously, that's religion. But religion with your spirituality is really important. And so people say, I believe in spirituality, I'm spiritual. Well, you know what? To really get the most out of it, it's not enough. You need to practice your spirituality. You need to be religious about your spirituality. So anyway, these, I just want to make note here that these traumatic events, because of the neurochemical adaptation, because of the damage, because how far do you think you can go in counseling if you're still in pain and addicted, and you can't go very far at all. It drags you down. The pain, the anguish, not feeling comfortable inside your own skin. It's very distracting. And it takes you away from the type of progress that you can make with your counseling when you dismiss healing the body and getting comfortable in your own skin again. Okay? And just, a good metaphor for, the neuroendocrine system and the adaptation system being overworked. And that's what's happening to us today. We're tanking, society as a whole, humans in the U.S., in industrial nations that live like this in concrete, denatured lives, it's just overstimulating, and the adaptation mechanism is burning out in, all of us to some degree. It's just things are changing too fast. Our systems were built for slow change over long periods of time, not huge changes every single day. It seems like, people got a lot going on in their lives, big things going on in their lives these days. And we got to learn how to slow it down. We got to learn, change our perspective, learn how to slow it down, change our priorities, and slow it down and learn how to manage our lives better so it's more agreeable to our health. So the heater is on with the windows open. The human cells have experienced more change in their external and internal environment in the last 100 years than in the last 50,000 years. All right, change was real slow up until the industrial age. The worst change, the most traumatic change that we would have as a people would be, a flood, okay, or a very devastating natural event. There wasn't the type of stresses and, overnight, people, living paycheck to paycheck and losing jobs and getting jobs and the demands put on students and universities and even middle school, even elementary school, we're judging our kids by their test scores these days. I mean, everybody is under a ton of stress, and it's too much. Our adaptation systems are burning out. We have to learn how to live healthier lives. They're designed more around the capacity of the human body and mind. The neuroendocrine system cannot keep up, which puts it in a stress cycle, protection mode, and adaptation mode, okay? And that absorbs all the body's nutritive and energy resources, leaving not much or nothing for growth. So when your body can't be in growth mode and in protection and adaptation mode at the same time. Well, I mean, it's always in adaptation mode, but I mean having to adapt to an overstimulated environment. That is not growth mode. It can't be in those two modes at the same time. Okay, so when the body and when the organism, your body feels, in your mind, feel comfortable and peaceful in its environment, then you go into growth mode, and you have to do that both psychologically, with your conscious choices about your personal environment, as well as with your health, your diet, your exercise, your getting plenty of sleep and sun, water, those kinds of things. So more energy is being expended to survive than it needs to be. It is what it is. We are, we got the heater on with the windows open these days. And just all this energy is being expended and making us old fast and not too happy. So here, I love South Park, and this is Kenny. Kenny is the canary in the mine. Any of you familiar with South Park know that Kenny, in every episode that Kenny's in, he dies. Okay, whatever the other kids are a little tougher. They can withstand whatever's going on. But he ends up dying, whatever the toxic event that's happening in the show, he gets it, from that event. And there's, more and more people, used to be just extremely sensitive people that were extremely sensitive to toxins, and things like that, people that are extremely sensitive to alcohol just don't drink alcohol, because they're like, whoa, I have an aunt, actually, and my Aunt Joy's like that. She can't have one drink. And so, so they just don't drink alcohol. But you see, now we have all the, a lot of, they're voluntary, but a lot of people don't know where the invisible crazy makers are. But now that you have taken the teleseries, you now know where the invisible crazy makers are. But because most people don't, these things accumulate and they're sensitive to them, and they're like Kenny, people are they become symptomatic and develop addictive biochemistry, and then they have some kind of addiction, whether, to the psych drugs or to illegal drugs or alcohol. This condition, this Kenny condition, we'll call it, this condition is reaching higher and higher up the ladder of humans. It used to be just the people very, very sensitive, but now, we have a bioaccumulation, and more people are expressing symptoms from this type of lifestyle, this denatured, overstimulated, and toxic lifestyle that we are in this matrix here, I call it. So now there's the problem. We got Kennys, and by the way, to some degree, over 90% of us are Kennys. There's over 9%, when you look at food, alcohol, legal drugs, illegal drugs, OTC drugs, over-the-counter, when you look at all of it, the gamut, over 90%, easily over 90% of the population in the U.S. today is addicted to something, okay? So, that means that there are symptoms out there. There are a bunch of Kennys out there, that have found their short-term relief. But there's, over 90% of the population now, adult population now, and more of the child population are a bunch of Kennys that, are reaching out and finding their short-term relief at a huge cost, of course. But anyway, so now we're going to go into the solution here. I'm going to discuss the solution. To addictive biochemistry, to the symptoms, to the solution for the healing event, the healing journey that you need to provide for yourself, and it starts and ends with green mental health care. Okay, and green mental health care, again, is a green, sustainable mental health care promotes, utilizes, assists, and respects the natural healing process, okay? There's a reason why you're symptomatic, and you're not going to fix it. You're not going to get cured. There's everything else is going to be a short-term solution, at a short-term relief at a very, very high cost. You're not going to get better unless you correct your environment, correct your diet, and start living a healthy lifestyle. You can only be healthy if you live a healthy lifestyle, if you exercise, if you have good community and love in your life, and if you're single, go out there and find it. Get to church, get to temple, whatever it is, wherever you need to go to get it. But you need to change what it was that was creating those symptoms, okay? And that is under the green mental health care umbrella. Green mental health care is non-toxic, non-invasive. It's a humane mental health care. It's also non-addictive, by the way. Big one. Non-toxic, non-invasive, non-addictive, humane mental health care. And what I mean by humane is exactly that, humane. Toxic drugs are not a humane way to treat a person because it ends up in a dark, dark world that they get imprisoned in. The drugs do not heal. Drugs, can only mask and only for a short period of time. They actually damage the person, reduce their quality of life, hurt them. So I do not call that humane. Green mental health care that respects the natural healing process, and respects the body, has reverence for the body and the mind, is the way you want to go. That is humane mental health care. There is a huge gap between what science knows that people require to be healthy and what conventional treatments offer, because the pharmaceutical industry has put a huge profit machine between them. That is it. That is the bottom line. It's about money, people. That in that world, it's about money. All that they are looking out for, not your health, their profits, okay? You need to take charge. You are the only one. You need to look out for your health, and you need to find a practitioner that is on your team, okay? And you will find, especially if you look up integrative physician, and those are the type of physicians that I have on my team. They are MDs, medical doctors with naturopath degrees. They have demonstrated with some formal training their reverence for the natural healing process. And there's more and more and more. The younger, the younger ones typically are there's a bigger population of younger new doctors that are practicing integrative medicine. But you know what? There's a bunch of the old school people too. So, just find, whoever fits you, or of course come to Biosanctuary, do the outpatient, but, I'm giving you a world of choices here, okay? And I'm just educating you as to how to make the choices in your environment for what you want in your community to get you through your healing event. And you definitely, want to look up an integrative physician above, by the way, a naturopath. I hate, they're, mostly on my team, but today naturopaths are being actually trained in naturopathic school to be psych drug friendly. They're not trained on how to get you off psych drugs. They're actually trained more about how to help you withstand the side effects. Okay, so that's an integrative physician would actually have the power to taper you in a humane way. But you need to educate on. That's actually the next module. I'm going to help you teach you how to manage your doctor so you can get a green mental health care healing event from your allopathic doctor. And they will, many of them, integrative will absolutely respect your wishes in that department. So anyway, moving on here, we're almost finished. So how to stop self-medicating with food, drugs, and alcohol, anything, psych drugs, anything that is, providing a relief for any type of pain that you're experiencing, emotional, psychological, or physical. And here, now listen up, people, because this guy's my hero. Double Nobel Prize winner for peace and chemistry, Linus Pauling described orthomolecular medicine as one that aims to restore the optimum ecological environment for the body's cells by correcting imbalances or deficiencies on the molecular level based on individual biochemistry using natural substances such as vitamins, minerals, amino acids, enzymes, hormones, and essential fatty acids. Okay. Now, this is a Nobel Prize winner, all right? I want you to think twice before you read that magazine about this drug that's good for you, whatever drug. Drugs are not good for you. They cause oxidative stress, okay? So I want you to think twice. You look up with the statements of many Nobel Prize winners, and these are people at the top of their game. I mean, these are real scientists. You can't buy these people, all right? They have integrity. You can't buy these people. They're telling you the truth, all right? This guy made this statement, Linus Pauling. He made this statement, and he was actually revered for. He was actually, respected for his position in science. Scientists get this. They understand what he's saying, and most of them, agree. I mean, of course, the brilliant ones like him agree, and anybody who has any understanding of the human body would agree. So you want to listen to these people, not anybody that's getting, any kind of gain from, writing articles, these ghostwriters, et cetera, et cetera. Listen to the top dogs. Listen to the smart people. Listen to the people that have accomplished something with their career in helping people, having success in that area, such as Linus Pauling, specifically vitamin C for cancer. So the foundation, and by the way, Linus Pauling was the father of orthomolecular medicine. He coined the phrase, and that's exactly the phrase, the explanation that he gave that I just read you. So the foundation is orthomolecular medicine. And what is orthomolecular medicine? Orthomolecular medicine is simply, it's very simple actually. Ortho, straighten, molecular, the molecules, straighten out the molecule. But really what it means is to straighten out the environment for the molecule. See, the molecule knows how to survive. It is inbred. It is just the wisdom of the cell. This is nature. This is the highest law of nature. Man, this stuff goes on without our intervention. Thank God, or we'd all be dead. So orthomolecular medicine is all about simply correcting the environment for the cell so the cell can do what it knows how to do. It's been doing it for 3 million years. Get out of its way, get the toxins out, get the good stuff in, give it what it needs to heal itself, and it will. So orthomolecular medicine is about correcting the environment. I mean the entire environment. I mean the dietary environment, getting the toxins out, getting the good stuff in. Same with your social environment. Get the toxic people out, get the good people in. Orthomolecular medicine encompasses all of your environment, your emotional environment, your psychological environment, your spiritual environment, your physical environment. All of those areas have to be addressed. And all of those areas, orthomolecular medicine, the umbrella of orthomolecular medicine, so long as it's not toxic and it enriches the environment for the cell, for the human organism, all the cells of the body to thrive, that's orthomolecular medicine, all right? It is a comprehensive epigenetic approach. Epigenetics are far more, you talk to any molecular biologist, such as the brilliant one, Dr. Bruce Lipton, epigenetic epigenetics is actually far more important. The environment of the cell is far more important than the condition of the cell itself, or even genetics. Okay, genetics give you this idea that your genes predetermine, what diseases you're going to get, and et cetera. And that's just not the case. It is not the case. It is the environment. Of course, many kids follow the same environment, dietary lifestyles, et cetera, as their parents. So yeah, diabetes, is in the family. Yeah, well, why? Because you ate a bunch of donuts too. So, all day long too. So, but epigenetics, the environment is far more influential in the disease or health of a cell than the DNA itself, the genetics itself, okay? And this is, I of course, don't have the time to go through that one, but you know what? You want to read a good book, pick up Dr. Bruce Lipton's The Biology of Belief, and you'll have a thorough understanding of how important your environment is to your total health. It is making the soil rich. I call it making the soil rich because when the body is healthy and your neuroendocrine system is working well, counseling is far more effective and productive and successful. You simply, when a person's in pain, they can only bring in so much. They can only process so much. They just don't have the wherewithal to really be receptive and because they're in defense mode. They're in fight or flight. When you're in pain, you are in fight or flight. The body, the alarms are going off, and they are loud alarms. And you can only hear so much of what that counselor is saying and the meaning behind it. So orthomolecular medicine does help make the soil rich so that, good adjuvant therapy such as counseling and acupuncture and all of them, massage can actually be far more effective and productive towards your recovery. Orthomolecular neurochemistry, something I practice, and that's simply saying that, I do focus on the neurochemistry, the brain chemistry. I provide an ideal environment with nutrition, adjuvant therapies, et cetera, and this is what you want to look for you want to implement in your healing event. Looking out for making sure that the brain is getting everything it needs. It takes up 20% of your energy, and it is charged with keeping you alive, and also charged with it's the reporting system. It'll send the alarms off if things aren't right, but of course, the neurochemistry is entirely dependent on the neuroendocrine system to get, to get the hormones and neurotransmitters going. And of course, the brain does produce its own, so you want a good brain food-rich diet, which, is provided in the 101 program, in the Green Body and Mind program. And of course, if you went to a good naturopath, you would get a good diet as well. But, you actually have the program materials here. And in fact, your naturopath may not know specifically what's best and not best for addictive biochemistry and for healing that. So I would just stick by the program materials that you have. You've already got them. Use them because they will get you where you want to go, long-term, green, sustainable recovery. And then orthomolecular neurochemical rehabilitation. So neurochemical rehabilitation, that means if I am providing an orthomolecular, I'm creating an ideal environment for your neuroendocrine system that produces the neurochemicals that define either disease or mental health symptoms or mental health. Okay, so I'm providing an ideal environment for the neuroendocrine system. Give it a break. We're getting you relaxed, stress free, no oxidative stress coming in from food, environment, all that stuff. Just an ideal environment you want for your healing event. So that you can get to neurochemical rehabilitation. And neurochemical rehabilitation means that pharmacist within is once again working for you. And then once again, when it's working for you, remember, you're in the driver's seat again. You are no longer addicted to anything because you can choose not to you don't need it anymore. It's not a medicine, okay? And this is, all this combined restores the neuroendocrine system's ability to respond healthfully to the environment and serve the body and mind naturally the way it was intended to do, okay? And this is science again, people. This is science. This is what's happening underneath the skin. This is the definition of addiction, the definition exactly what caused it, the state, in between health and addiction is addictive biochemistry. And this is how you get back, okay? This is how you cure the root cause of the addictive biochemistry. So awakening the physician within. Orthomolecular neurochemical rehabilitation achieved via therapeutic targeted nutritional therapy, organic, non-toxic, oxidative, stress-free environment, authentic, conscious development via integral life counseling, and, other people, whatever you're attracted to, although I like the integral life counseling model because it really is all about identifying what I've adapted by years of working with my patients, the key things that they need, to build a healthy and livable habitat for themselves, sober habitat for themselves, and really going forward in a forward direction, toward the vision, the highest vision of themselves. And we ask them to create, identify their core values, and then start making decisions for all aspects of their life based on their core values, while having developed that highest vision of themselves and working every day, even just a little bit, toward that higher vision of themselves. Anyway, let's see. Okay, a vibrant and safe place to heal and grow, and a medicinally oriented organic whole food diet quickly uproots addictive biochemistry, healing each organ of the delicate neuroendocrine system, which makes the soil rich for successful adjunct mind-body energy healing therapies, which are extremely effective when received by a well-functioning body and mind. And it's just true. My acupuncturist, the brilliant Dr. Ruth Lopez, she just loves working with the Biosanctuary because because, people don't go drop back into their toxic environment, come see her for an hour and then, maybe twice, 2 or 3 times a week, and then the rest of the time they're dropped back in their toxic environment. When the body is healing all the time in relax and in growth mode, her acupuncture sessions just go a lot long. She sees the difference. I mean, something that could take, 6 to 9 months or a year with regular acupuncture with a person trying to take care of themselves but still living that toxic lifestyle that got them in trouble in the first place. She's able to accomplish in, 6, 8 weeks, 4, 6, 8 weeks at the clinic. And it's really gratifying for practitioners who really do care about people and want to help people to get to see this happen, because they get to right there before their eyes watch people heal so, profoundly quickly and elegantly. Evidence-based services and treatments carefully selected and provided in a very specific way and progression which aligns with the body's natural healing process, thus enhancing the effectiveness of each treatment. This is, again, why, if you're considering inpatient, or doing it on yourself, if you're doing this on your own, which is I'm giving you all the information for, you have to consciously change your environment to reduce stress as much as possible, get all the toxins out of your home, out of your body, start organic gardening, start, some peaceful activities, hobbies, exercise. But if you're doing this on your own, you have to consciously change your environment. So, such as, try and get it as close to a biosanctuary. Look at your home as a biosanctuary. Try and make it your own biosanctuary, okay? Anyway, in this way, the entire person in all aspects of their physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual being are engaged in growth and repair, leading to a life built on their personal core values and desires. This is, a person has to be engaged in fulfilling their desires daily and feeling like they're going even a little bit daily in the right direction. That is part of happiness. That is part of creating feel goods, the neurotransmitters, serotonin, these things that make you feel good, fulfilled inside. You have to be going toward your desires. Life is not at all about just following your urges, eating when you're hungry, sleeping when you're tired. No, you have to connect with your purpose. You have desires to feed your kids, take care of your kids, get your kids through whatever they are. Write those core values down and get in touch with your desires and identify that highest vision of yourself and do something daily, because you know what? It will make you feel better. And that is good orthomolecular medicine, okay? And I think we're just about there, people. And this is, I love this. This brilliant man wins a Nobel Prize in chemistry and peace, and to get the basic message to the masses. He said, and this is in discussing medicine and choosing the way you want to go about getting healthy. Use Ford parts to repair a Ford, and that's what it's all about, people. We're using Ford parts, human parts, to repair humans, and it's the most humane, safest, and long-term solution that you could ever hope for, because it is the solution. It is the cure. I'm going to open us up for questions now.